Hello and welcome to the heart of Chinatown in London with me, Philip Saunders, on Travel in the Know. Behind us is Gerrard Street, probably the most famous street in the whole of the United Kingdom for Chinese restaurants. And this is somewhere people love to go at lunchtime or before showtime in the West End, either at a cinema on Leicester Square next door or any of the many theatres in the vicinity. Today we're going to take lunch in one of the many good restaurants on Gerrard Street, and then why not learn a little bit about the extraordinary history of this street, because in actual fact it only became Chinatown after the Second World War, and there's been loads of things happening around here. So join me on this journey of discovery. Although most of the restaurants are definitely Chinese, they do represent different regions of China, and also either on Gerrard Street or just off it, you will easily find Malaysian restaurants, Korean restaurants, Japanese restaurants, and indeed an eclectic choice of bars catering for every taste. Truly extensive choice of dumplings. I suppose the clue is in the name, but look at that: minced pork and crab roast xiao-mai, spicy pork xiao-long bao, the crystal prawn dumplings. So much choice. There's such a vast array and choice of restaurants that it's not easy to pick the right one. And of course we're in a very touristy area, so quality is not always guaranteed. But I've been attracted by two things. First of all, checking on Google reviews and also TripAdvisor. Dumplings Legend seems to be a good choice, and that's where I am. And it seems a fitting name. I look a bit like a dumpling, and I'm a legend already on YouTube, in my own mind, at any rate. It's pretty windy now. It's been a beautiful morning, and I decided to sit outside because of the weather. One thing though, I've moved a little bit further towards the building and away from the road, because the serving staff told me when I took a seat literally by the pathway that having cameras around wasn't very wise, as there was a good chance that they would end up stolen. So when you're in these very touristy areas of London, it's obvious, I know, but keep your wits about you, and then you can focus on enjoying your lunch, hopefully. I'm always a bit dubious about eating in Gerrard Street, because you can find better Chinese restaurants generally elsewhere, and obviously you're in a real tourist area, so prices are quite high. I do remember that when I worked in Soho in the late 1980s, a lot of us would come down here for lunch or in the evening, but there were really cheap set menus. Seems to me that the prices have gone up a lot since then and way above inflation, perhaps reflecting the status of this part of London as well, with Theatreland and cinemas, and how all of those experiences have undergone a significant revival, and therefore people are looking for somewhere to have dinner before their big West End experience. Having said that, this restaurant does seem to have good credentials. It's one of the most established restaurants in Chinatown. You often see restaurants here come and go. And also, they claim that they've attracted diners from all over the world. Well, we can all say that. But in 2015, they played host to Charles and Camilla. That's definitely something to boast about, and hopefully it means that the food will be great as well. An American gentleman got very emotional behind me, and so he was emotional, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And he
Really
said that I should go for the, how do you pronounce it, pork xiao-long bao?
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, because that one is our specialties here.
Yeah.
Because it's made from like meat inside and like a hot broth, so we call it soup dumpling.
Yeah.
And that's our specialties here.
Is it easy to eat if it's got soup in it?
Yeah, it's easy. It's not that big, but it's small one.
Okay.
But you have to like a little bit careful because it's really, really hot broth
All right,
inside.
I'm looking forward to it. I had intended to have a soup after that. Does that still make sense? Is that still okay? Or...
Yeah, it's up to you.
Okay, so rib stewed soup with pickled vegetables. Is that nice?
Yeah, that one is really nice with a mix of like vegetables and like a pork ribs. So I was like, yeah.
Okay, let's go for that. And then for the main course,
Yeah.
I thought the stone bowl rice with cured pork and duck. And then I have another question for you.
Yeah.
There are so many restaurants in Gerrard Street.
Yeah.
What makes this restaurant special?
Oh, the reason for this one is like I was not working here at that time, but the one time like our king.
Yes.
King Charles,
Yes.
the Queen Majesty, like they visited here, and even like the mayor of London.
So they come.
Yeah, he also came here. So I
Really?
Yeah.
So the true celebrities come here.
Yeah.
That makes me feel special. My meat rib soup with vegetables has arrived. I never thought I'd get soup looking quite so Chinese with this wonderful reflection of the lanterns. But once you actually look at it up close as well, look. Oh, it's hot. It's really hot. But you can see there's lovely meat on the rib. Very generous portions of meat, actually. Plenty of pickled vegetables in there. Tomatoes, onions, I think, celery, definitely, and a light broth. Let's see what it tastes like. The broth is great. The vegetables are nice. I poured some tomato over the side. Very slight kick from the pickled nature. And let's get some meat off the rib. It's really easy. It just comes away from the rib. Got a little bit of bone left. And that's lovely. And slightly gelatinous as well. It's definitely pork, but it's kind of got that consistency actually almost of oxtail, which I've never had before with pork. Tastes really good with the broth as well. This is a filling and very pleasing soup and really good quality. So this is a good start. You know what, I'm only on the soup, but I'm already beginning to think I may have ordered too much because this is incredibly wholesome and very filling. It's always a good time to choose Tsingtao, a marvellous Chinese beer which really refreshes and goes well with Chinese food. There's a lovely Scottish lady, although she doesn't sound very Scottish, Valerie, sitting next to me, who, believe it or not, chose the same soup as me, possibly under some duress from myself, which wasn't intentional, but thankfully she loves it.
I do love it. It's very nice. The flavor of the broth is very, it's meaty.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
I told you, and I'm right, Valerie doesn't sound Scottish, but she is truly Scottish to the core. Hello.
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah, it's fine.
Very good. So now my dim sum has arrived, and again the restaurant is being very good, I think, because I did ask them to serve the food slowly. One of the other problems in this touristy area of London is that almost all of the Chinese restaurants serve portions at an incredibly fast pace, and that's mainly to encourage, I think, you to leave so that they can get as much financial reward from every individual table as possible. But look, it's lunchtime on Friday, there aren't that many people around, so there's no need, and they've been very accommodating, and I really appreciate that, although quite frankly it's nothing more than you should be able to expect. This is a moment of some terror. I'm going to try the chopsticks, or the wrong way around at the moment, so that's not a very good start. I have never been the greatest with chopsticks, but when in China, do as the Chinese. Remember, these are the signature dumplings. This is what I've been told, both by an American guest and also by the restaurant. Oh, they're spicy too. Now the reason why I dug into that is as soon as I picked one up, the broth started to pour out of it, and that's the whole point of these dumplings. They are soup dumplings. So in a way, they remind me of the lovely Kinkali dumplings that we tried together in Kutaisi in Georgia. And indeed, part of the reason they're in Georgia is the old Silk Road to China. So I think these are cousins, and I wonder if I can tip it up the other way like they do in Georgia. Yeah, that way the broth's not going to fall out. Do you see? Isn't that cool? And I'm going to eat it and I have that whole spicy broth inside. Truly, that is outstanding. I love the spice. The spice lasts, it lingers a little bit as well. But you can taste the broth. You can taste the nice meaty pork flavour inside. And actually the dumpling itself is so light, it could float off into outer space as a hot air balloon. It would be perfect, particularly as I'm turning it up that way around. Really nice. And I wonder, can I do that again? Yeah, well done. Ooh. Now I'm going to dip it in what I think is soy sauce. It's good, but it's not soy sauce. It's that kind of vinegary dip you sometimes get in Chinese restaurants. It's very nice. Again, I've eaten many dumplings in this street. I've never eaten at this restaurant. I think this restaurant is right up there. And I've definitely, on the evidence so far, be pleased to come back. My stone pot, I think that's what it's called, with rice and smoked, or cured rather, pork and duck has arrived. And it does look like a work of art, I think. It's got 2 pieces of broccoli around the edge, but it looks really, really lovely. It looks almost too beautiful to eat. But as you know, I can always be tempted to eat. That's not a problem. Well, I'm afraid that this piece of art is about to meet its fate and join my tummy. Wow. I'm so glad I didn't go for the roast. This cured meat has a lovely, sweet, Chinese taste. It's obviously been marinated for some time. And it tastes almost like a really superior sausage, or 100% meat. Kind of gentle 5-spice Chinese coating. Absolutely delicious. With lovely rice underneath. It's nicely cooked. Some people say rice is rice, but I don't quite agree. This rice, for example, it's really fragrant rice, you know. I'm now going to dip my meat in this sauce on the side, which has got, I think, spring onions in it as well, chopped finely. Stir that round. Oh wow, that's great. That's a kind of soy sauce, but definitely with a tiny amount of spiced chili and the onions as well. Honestly, this is a joy. I'm really enjoying it. I've got to be honest, I couldn't tell you which bits are pork and which bits are duck. I'm going to check afterwards that I got both, because there's a fairly uniform taste so far. No, that's different. That's got a different taste. And it's not been cured as much as the other meat. So I actually think that is a duck. It's embarrassing when you're not quite sure which is which. Irrespective of that, this is really tasty. So this is really nice. They brought me a dessert on the house, but I'm assured that if I ordered 3 courses, you would bring it to me, right? Not because I'm doing a vlog. This is your courtesy to your customers. So these are custard dumplings. Is that right?
Yeah, the custard dumplings.
So how are they made?
It's like a steamed one, but inside they got a really, really hot liquid, custard liquid.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a sweet one.
I love custard.
Yeah, it's a really nice one.
It looks
We
exciting.
sell like this one here we call like a volcano custard bun.
Volcano. It's that exciting.
Yeah, right.
It's like Etna in Sicily at the moment,
It's
which
like
has just
it's like
erupted.
hot.
So I'm not sure how we're supposed to eat these. I've got a very nice wet wipe, so I reckon although there's a fork, it's probably best just to dive in. So is that rice paper? Probably. Let's have a look. Well, if you like custard, oh, lovely. So luscious, sweet. A bit more texture than English custard. And that lovely, soft, light dumpling around it, and yet it is rice paper, thankfully. I haven't even made a mess. That is good. So satisfying. And that custard is really warm as well. So the total damage for lunch, £6.50 for the pickled vegetable and pork rib soup, and then for the spicy pork xiao-long dumplings, £12. That was of course the house speciality, and £17.50 for the stone bowl rice with cured pork and duck. And then finally £6 for the Tsingtao. I also had some tap water, and very kindly they brought me a lovely custard dumpling dessert, which I did say was customary if you ate as much as I had. Anyhow, that all came to, I think, around about £42, and then on top of that there's a service charge, so the total is £47.30. Now that is pretty steep, I think, for a lunchtime meal, and it's a shame you can't have the set menus for one. But in all truth, the quality was really high. I enjoyed everything that I ordered. And not only that, in truth, I could quite easily have had just the soup and perhaps some dim sum as well, because the soup was filling and the dim sum portions, I think, quite generous for the quality. So a lot of the cost was really down to my personal decisions. But overall, a great experience. And I tell you what, at one time or another, I've been to most of the restaurants on Gerrard Street, and this one has made a real impression. So if you're down here, whether you're a Londoner or coming to the theatre, or just have a great night in the West End, let me recommend this restaurant, and why not let me know what you think in the comments below as well. That was a good meal. I'm going to give it, I think, a gold medal. I think that's fair enough, and a silver medal for value for money. And definitely the phrase I've now coined, fork first, wallet later. Definitely time for an after lunch stroll, and I've been walking down Gerrard Street on and off quite regularly ever since 1985, and I suppose always seeing these beautiful Chinese lanterns and gates and so much activity around the supermarkets and the restaurants, they say sometimes inspired by the Chinese triad mafia. But you know, frankly, the history of this place actually goes back a lot further than that, and it's only been a Chinatown since the end of the Second World War. Building under Lord Gerrard actually started with the Great Fire of London. There was a true panic to rebuild, and attention turned to this military training ground, which at the time, believe it or not, was on farmland. Anyhow, permission was granted to build houses. It was opened in 1685 as a street, and later a market hall and slaughterhouse were built. And that is how Soho was given rise to. By the middle of the 18th century, Gerrard Street was a place of entertainment, full of coffee shops and taverns. And I suppose that is the one constant with today, right? This street has also been the home of legendary entertainment hotspots. For example, the very first Ronnie Scott's club was actually here in Gerrard Street. And also another club called the 43 Club, which was a notorious nightclub and owned by Kate Merrick, was also located just around about here, I think 3 or 4 more doors down, at number 43 Gerrard Street. I bet that was a hoot. In fiction, Charles Dickens actually set the home of Mr. Jaggers, that's the lawyer in Great Expectations, in one of these houses behind me on the south side of the street. And this was his description: rather a stately house of its kind, but dolefully in want of painting, and with dirty windows, with a stone hall, a dark brown staircase, dark brown rooms, and panelled walls. Let's be honest, frankly, quite a few of these restaurants, if you go up to the first or the second floor, they're not much different today in the 21st century. Many of the Chinese who lived in London during the pre-Second World War period and the war itself lived to the east in Limehouse, and the first Chinese to move towards this part of London were coming here as a result of bombing in Limehouse during the Second World War, which made many areas around there pretty uninhabitable. In the 1950s there was a reputation already for great nightlife and also, believe it or not, cheap commercial rents. And also British soldiers who'd returned from the Far East had really fallen for Chinese food. So at that stage, more entrepreneurs came here and also started to produce food in restaurants, which the soldiers and others came to love. It took until the late 1960s for Chinatown to be truly established as the epicenter of London's Chinese community, which was now actually counting tens of thousands of people in its ranks, particularly with Chinese workers arriving from the then British territory of Hong Kong. And it's really in the 1980s that the area got the full treatment. Chinese gates, street furniture, and a pavilion were added. And also, not only Gerrard Street became pedestrianised for the first time, but also other areas as well. And as we can see today, it's unbelievable. It thrives away with its restaurants, with its souvenir shops, bakeries, barbers, health clinics, and supermarkets. I like to think that as a man who was always ahead of his time, Lord Gerrard would be more than pleased with the final outcome. If you've enjoyed today's vlog and the delicious Chinese food and a little bit of history about this area so close to the very heart of the West End of London, then why not subscribe to the channel Travel in the Know and ask for notifications by clicking on that bell, and then we'll see you hopefully soon on another fantastic adventure somewhere around the world with Travel in the Know. Xie, as they say in Chinese. Thank you, and we'll see you very soon.